Hey friends, it's I think the recording just popped on. Um I wanted to say hi and welcome to another episode of the Cosmic Podcast. So today I'm going to be talking about 5 lack matrix identities you need to quit and drop, stop and roll ASAP. So we're talking here about shedding some like DNA programs that are really have been placed in the 3D matrix. And it's just societal, hierarchical. Um, it's very much ingrained in the culture we live. And so there's so many different ones you need to sort of delete, drag to the trash bin, drop in, and then you can reinstall. So today I just want to go ahead and talk about how you can reinstall better programming to help you make your 5D shift much, much easier. And the first thing that we want to always talk about is the body. So your body is actually a lack matrix program, believe it or not. Think of your spirit as dropped down into this beautiful, organic, magma-like holographic cosmic energy form. Okay, it's a brilliant chemical composition of all of these little chemical bursts going off simultaneously, and that really creates just this beingness that you exist here on earth. So it's interesting to begin to think of yourself as multidimensional and like your body as a technical sort of matrix like hologram machine, but that doesn't really do it justice because that feels very cold. We think of mechanics as lifeless, and clearly this whole getup, this whole body thing, this meat suit, as Lady Gaga knows, it's deeply, deeply human. It is so sensitive to emotions. The sensations of the body are just phenomenal and like would explode your brain, especially as you start to get into higher and higher states. The more data that you're able to receive in a moment's time, it basically just expands your whole consciousness and mind. And so, start to think of your body like, don't be so fixed to this shape, this body. Just like almost feel like you're wearing a costume and start to really tap into the feeling behind this body. And when you look at other people, don't see their appearance. Look a little bit deeper. Feel their magnetism. I went up to Rawtopia here in Utah. Praise Rawtopia. And I was sitting there talking to the owner, Omar, and we're kind of friends because I go there a bit. But I could feel the magnetic pulse of his third eye, like drawing me in. He's so aligned and awake and free of these lack matrix programs. And his vibration was like this palpable pulse. And I really did feel like magnetized, like, and I think he was feeling it too. And both of us were like just sitting there with our heads like this for a minute. It was pretty weird and funny, but yeah. So your body, number one identity that you need to quit identifying with as soon as possible is your actual body. So that's a trip. And your body, like you are your body and your body is you, but your body is such a limited aspect or understanding of who you really are, because you have a lot of different bodies on a lot of different timelines in a lot of different dimensions, parallel timelines, and also kind of universal timelines. So you don't just think that all you are is this little sack of flesh and bones with some blood pumping through it. Like the intricacy of this vessel is, I mean, miraculous. It really is miraculous what it can do. It's alive, it's art, it's organic. It can grow and change and morph. Okay. Yeah, so the light code coming in replacing the understanding of yourself as a body is something like this. You are a infinitely evolving organic chemical composition. Your chemistry is actually an alchemy of science, if we had the ability to really see the science of reality, the things behind the things that we think we're a part of. It's like the deepest layer, the primordial layer. There is where we exist. There is where we live. That deep essence is like our true heart signature, resonance, our soul in the heart. It's our true soul resonance. And that is like what we're elevating and lifting up to as we ascend. And so you're meeting more aspects of yourself as you start to ascend. This is why you may start to remember past lives. And you need to remember that fractal of you, that piece of you, that version of you. And so you can go with it. Okay, so if you lift up and you have consciousness recognition of it, and you all realize that you're a soul fractal, then that is an exponentiator in terms of your consciousness grows, because now you have realization of two different consciousness. And the more past lives you connect in and the more consciousness you open, it's like you're twisting little portals and you're actually like expanding your mind so that you become way more smart, way more tapped in, way more ready to channel. It's just like these almost like portals that are satellite dishes. It's like, oh, this past life is a satellite dish. I turn it on, I can get that signal. This future life is a satellite dish. I turn it on, I can get that signal. So essentially, the guides that you're working with are energies also that you're able to tap into. And in so many ways, we are all each other. We are all one. So really, what you could end up opening up to is mind-blowing. I mean, we can't even understand it. It's phenomenal. Okay, those are light codes to fix the body. Now, the second lack matrix identity that you need to quit identifying with as soon as possible is this idea of black and white, dark and light. These are our polarity moralities, good and bad, good and evil. You need to ascend above this entire paradigm and know that I am. Just I am. I am. I exist. So many people are trapped, as I have been, in this like ultimate need to prove and gain approval that they are good, that they are a moral person, that something inside them is not bad. When I started remembering a lot of my past lives, it's interesting. You find that you really have played all the roles. Everything you find is not like sunshine and butterflies. I found some really cool, expansive lives where I had been a like spiritual master, and I found some lives where I had suffered deeply and greatly. And so you find a mixed bag. You find really cool lives, but you also find sort of these sad, it's like heartbreaking. And those lives that are sad and heartbreaking are even more important to bring back into the heart and reclaim when you've done something awful, or you see yourself as a victim of something atrocious, or you see yourself as a perpetrator, or you see yourself as a killer, or whatever it is. I mean, think of the history of humanity. All you have to do is watch Mr. Jon Snow, and yeah, the brutality that humanity has been. I think that Game of Thrones does a really great job with that, and we can kind of understand that, like, we're living in a much more peaceful society this life than we have been in past lives. We've all been everything. We've all been every gender. We've all been every sexuality. We've all been every race. We've all been, you know, even off-planet life forms. So we really have such a depth of understanding to all that is. Like, you know, once we are waking up and we're getting into that 5D, it's like cosmic illumination happens. And you cannot like expand a giant big balloon and then try to get it to ever go back to the shape it was. Once it expands, it sticks. And so that's really kind of the light code that you need to overcome this polarity, is just to know and face up and square up against all that you have been, will be, ever could be, and to not have to make any of it right or wrong, but just to integrate it in the moment, find the balance and polarity that is actually arising above it. And then this will actually help you understand that you don't need to blame people. You don't need to shame people. You don't need to guilt people. You don't need to make people feel afraid. You don't need to be doing all these dominant things, trying to, you know, like beat them down so you can rise because of scarcity. It's like, no, you just realize, oh, ultimate, continual, eternal compassion for whatever it is that you're going through at this time. Because I see you, human being, who doesn't realize that you're a cosmic starseed miracle on earth. And, you know, and then, but I know who you are, and I'm not judging you, right? Because judgment is the other side of this. So like stories around what's dark and stories around what you're judging as dark, these are ultimately these polarization matrix storylines or programs that you get trapped in, and you can't get out if you're stuck in a polarizing timeline. So you have to truly ascend above polarization, depolarize. My brother has a brilliant book. It's called Depolarized. He has a different last name than I do. His last name is Airus, Airus, Nick Airus, Depolarized. If you are interested in learning about the brain and how to depolarize it, especially if you have like true political polarizations, or that you're really stuck in, I think it could be good for anytime you're just really stuck in a paradigm, right? Because even something as just benevolent and beautiful as veganism, and I'll just use this as an example, but it can become super polarized, and there can be a lot of judgment or, you know, right or wrong feelings around that. And that in itself is a dive into a program, a paradigm, a social idea. So it's fine to be vegan. It's beautiful to be vegan, but you have to be doing it from a place beyond polarity of the judgment or the right or wrong of it. If you truly want to be free of the lack matrix program. Okay, the next one is going to be scarcity, just this general idea of scarcity. So I was doing a session on someone the other day, and I had never heard scarcity in this way, but Spirit was using the term scarcity. And I realized the fear that scarcity gives us. So in a weird way, it's the whole fear paradigm that we have to jump out of. I think when we jump out of fear, that's when we can really start to jump out of scarcity, because it is scary to feel like you're not going to be able to meet your needs. It requires huge amounts of trust in the universe that it's going to be showing up for you and meeting you every step of your journey. And it takes time to build that trust. So, you know, the easiest way to get out of this scarcity is just to not have fear. If you can really drop the fear level, so do whatever you need to, adjust whatever you need to in your life, just so that you aren't like, you know, experiencing extreme fear. And then from that place, start to really just like tap into, you know, the womb of creation and pull forth the frequencies in your resonance and in your being of what you're really wanting for. If you're not in a just complete dire and desperate situation, it's much easier to take time each day meditating and embodying the resonant signature that you really want to be. Okay. The fourth one that I want to share is related to your DNA. So we think of our DNA as limited, but now we know about epigenetics and we know that we can turn, you know, certain genes on and off. But still, we kind of feel like our DNA is limited. I think Richard Rudd and the Gene Keys is a beautiful way to open up this idea about what your DNA is capable of, or your cosmic DNA. So instead of thinking of just yourself as this set of human DNA, the next lac matrix program that will really help you shift into 5D is to start to think of your DNA as cosmic. And this is what light coding is, right? So when you remember, and it's like a remembrance is a resonance. So I think, you know, there's as many perspectives and truths as there are people on the planet. So I think my dad said the other day, there are 8.5 billion people on the planet. That means that there are 8.5 billion different truths. And so the perspective I offer is always just one tiny fraction. But if it happens to be a fraction that like allows you to have a cosmic remembrance about who you are, or what your power, your internal sovereign power is, or what your free will choice, the abilities of it, if I can give you a code and help you remember that you are far more brilliant, amazing, and talented than you or think you are, then that is actually like a DNA upgrade in terms of your cosmic DNA. More of your cosmic DNA can then light up, and you have a lot more abilities than you've been led to believe, because let's just call them the powers that be have wanted you to not realize that you were a cosmic being in a human form. So they have really kept it hidden from you about your cosmic origins, and your origin story is really rich with how powerful you are. Which leads us to the final and fifth lac matrix identity: to quit as soon as possible. So this is one that really helped me move forward, and it is around a program around your divinity. So I think upgrading from I am part of God to I am that. Women especially, and especially women that I work with in my beautiful Poem Club group, and I'll put the link below if that gave you a little light, you can check it out. But the women I work with, I see women, I think it might be easier for men to have a God complex, but sometimes that even is just a sign of insecurity and kind of more of a fraud complex hidden in the God complex. And this is an idea that me and my friend Rachel work on with our work with Urge. So, but anyways, the whole point is I've seen that it's easier for men to actually identify as divine. Women tend to still feel separate from true divinity, like that they're connected to it or they're part of it, but they don't actually embody the fullness of I am that. I am that. I am that. I am. And so just actually stepping into like, what if I was truly a divine being that had profound spiritual gifts and so many beautiful talents? And like, what if I was it? Not that I was connected to it, but that it actually was living inside me and I could take the embodiment of it. That is a super important mindset shift that needs to happen and occur. And yeah, it's just like, start seeing yourself not as part, just start seeing yourself as like the wholeness of it. It's like, yes, you are a part. So there's always like, there's multiple layers of it, right? But you are that dot, but in that dot is all. And so you, in a sense, are an expression of all. So just embody the part of you that is all. That's kind of the idea here as you start to shift into a higher dimensional, divinity program, a higher dimensional divinity programming. Okay, there's a lot more where that came from and how to shift these lack matrix grids that we're all stuck in and battling and fighting each other for worth and for value inside these programs. They're just, think of them as malware in a sense to what's actually available for you. So this is the message here. And I hope wherever you are, you're having a great day and sending a lot of love. If my content is serving you at this time and you feel like you want to give back, you can, I'll put the donation button below. You can feel free to send a donation anytime, never necessary. Just if you want to, if you feel inspired to, called to, or you want to kind of strengthen the flow of our currency, then you always could. So links below. And yeah, if you are interested in doing any type of work with me or session, I do channeling sessions for $222. Also, there is an upcoming workshop going to happen on October, I believe, 16th. It's a Monday. Oh no, excuse me, the 26th. October 26th, I'm doing a reverse your trigger workshop, and I would be like, ecstatic to see you there. It's going to be phenomenal. We're going to really be talking about how the fastest and easiest way to ascend is to do kind of trigger magic on everything that is confronting to you. Shift your mindset super quick in a poetic way, rather than a logical linear way, and then pop out the other side with a new resonant signature. And it can be pretty quick. Yeah, quick as, taking a file you no longer want on your computer, dragging it down to the corner, putting it in the drop bin, and clicking erase. It can actually be that easy to face the toughest of triggers. Take it from the woman who's had a lot of triggers on her ascension path. We all have that. And everybody's special. So remember that you have everything you need. You are a self-sustaining individual. You are enough. I am enough. There is enough. Other people in our life are enough. We're all enough. We're all self-governing. We all have free will choice. And this life is beautiful. Okay, have a great day.